Welcome to Healing Horizons, where we explore wellness, movement, and mindful transformation. Tonight, we are joined by Veronique Ory, an intuitive movement and mindful awareness guide who combines yoga, storytelling, and creative movement to help people heal, reconnect, and shine their light. Together, we will explore how levity, mindfulness, and intentional movement can transform both body and the spirit. So, hello, Veronique. Welcome to my show.
Hello, thank you for having me. Very honored to be here.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to have you here. So, Veronique, your journey blends yoga, storytelling, and creative movement. But how did you discover the role of levity in healing and self inquiry?
Oh gosh, it's so important that we in this space not take things so seriously all the time. It's so easy to get stuck in going through the process. And there's a lot of conversation in spirituality and in the self inquiry, self help space of okay, we have to do these different modalities of therapy and we need to meditate and journal and like go through our intergenerational trauma. And then we have to think about every trauma that we've ever endured and unblock the subconscious. And like there could feel like a really strong heaviness and there's a little bit of self-fulfilling prophecy to be constantly being working on ourselves. And the language is so important around this because the quality of the word work feels heavy. Like you have to grind, you have to struggle, there's some kind of opposition versus I'm attuning to love for myself. And within that, it's giddy, right? It is joyful, it's playful, it's thinking of ourselves at 2 years old, soft belly, like not in the judgment or the expectations or the comparison. It's just like love, pure love. And so it's so important to be remembering that because when we can get back to, I think of it as like a young portable child, like 2, 3 years old and or puppy energy, right? It's like, can we just be more playful? Not to say not to take things seriously, of course, but we could get stuck in the seriousness. And, certainly there's an old adage that if you're not worried and stressed out, you're not paying attention. There's definitely a lot happening in the world constantly where, we could take that in. However, can you observe and not absorb it? Can you be with what's happening and have an attunement to bringing a lightness that actually can transmute the heaviness that can be around sometimes, and sometimes that's it. All we can do is start from within, and really it's all that we have control over. So it's a pretty powerful place to anchor into.
Amazing, amazing. You are very right that, taking everything seriously is not the way to go. Sometimes playfulness, lightness, like a little kid, is definitely necessary. But can you share a moment or an experience where playfulness or lightness changed someone's healing experience?
Mm, yeah, yeah. So what's so powerful about the yoga practice, and I say yoga with a capital Y, right? The mindfulness and all that we do is that nothing necessarily has to change. And you witness this through the practice that nothing exteriorly has to change for the inner world to shift. And so oftentimes I'll have clients that begin the yoga practice, and superficially it might be to lose weight, or someone's mending, they had a knee replacement, or they want to master handstand, like it could be some kind of like physical attention. And then the more we practice together, it starts to become, okay, like the weight that I want to lose physically, it actually is really connected to the emotional subconscious. And so there are patterns. It's not willpower of like, okay, like I'm gonna like restrict eating and I'm gonna like do this like really powerful, strength conditioning or whatever. It's actually much deeper than that. And so what they start to realize is that when we can get to the subconscious root of what is leading to emotional eating, or like what is leading to ways that we're like tightening, right? For people who are like wanting to like build more flexibility, the way that we do one thing is the way that we do everything. And so oftentimes when I connect with someone, right, it's like, what are we craving? Where are we attuning to for this practice? And usually it's the thing that's heaviest on their mind that they come in with, right? Whether it's something going on at home that they have to get off of their chest, or maybe they had an encounter with their mom that has been weighing on them. And so they're wrapped up into the story. And so giving space for the story, giving space for the seriousness, and then can we move in a way that can transmute that in a powerful way? So like one of my favorite things, and it's really hard to do this and also be silly, and also be serious. There's a certain silly quality of it, is laying on your back, lifting your arms and your legs in the air, and you just like shake, 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 shake. And there's like a moment of resistance where it's like, oh, like I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I just want to be like mad. But there's like a moment that shifts where you tantrum on purpose, and you are 2 years old and you're like in the grocery store and you like just want the like sugary cereal, for example, and you just like really go for it. There's like a point where you can actually like break up with, I use that term, like break up, like you're like breaking up a relationship, but you like break up with the idea of holding the seriousness, where it's like, oh, actually this is comedic, because whatever it is that we keep butting up against, it's a recurring pattern, and the universe is like, here it is again. How are you choosing to respond? Are you choosing to respond the same way? Okay, great. Here it is again. And we keep getting delivered the same thing until we can choose anew. And when we can embrace the cosmic giggle of, like, of course, like my mom is responding to this in the same way, or like, of course, my husband, my partner, my sister, like whoever it is, my boss is responding in the same way, and I'm responding in the same way. We're just on the loop. And then we get like so serious because we're just like wanting it to be different, but all we can do is be different within ourselves, right? So it's like, okay, I see you, I hear you, which is so much easier said than done, certainly. But my dad always says, if you're going to laugh about it later, might as well start now.
Amazing. And that was very helpful. Thank you so much for sharing it with our listeners, Veronique. That also highlights that healing doesn't always have to be serious, it can be joyful and transformative. So, Veronique, your book Shine On and Off the Mat integrates mindfulness, movement, and storytelling. How does combining these elements enhance the well being of a person?
Yeah, I think what's so tempting is for us to be in our heads, right? We can be very analytical. We have all of these shoulds and expectations that we get like stuck in. And what I really love about creativity and having different access points into the mindfulness practice is you can start to come back into the heart and also the gut, the intuition. And so we're in this space that actually allows for a practice that feels like it's your own. So it's less like mimicking asana, it's less like prescribed sequence for the sake of checking something off of your list, but it's really tuning in with a softness of what it is that you are actually craving moment to moment, and not like craving like I want chocolate or, something like this. It's more like, what does my soul need to feel grounded and uplifted in equal measure? What does my spirit need to feel like I'm of service? And what can service that in a way that feels really authentic to the 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 essence of what is, and also like how can that be expressed physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of these things. And so one of the ways that I designed this interactive piece of my book and then now into the membership is that depending on the season, and then depending on who we are, what we need, we all want different things at different times. And so there's meditation, there's vinyasa, there's yin, there's music, there's storytelling, there's photographs, there's journal prompts. It's like, do you want to be in this practice that is more in like an energetic space, or do you want it to be more introspective? Are you wanting to find it just by yourself, or do you want to connect with others? And so in this way, we're in this like video chat. You could use Shine in that way where you would connect, you would share screen, and it would be one of the Shine practices that you choose. It could be for as many people that you want to gather with. And then you can design it to be playful, if you want to, right? It's like you could be chatting, you could be casual, you could be sharing your experience. If you're wanting it to be more introspective, you set the tone for the style and the practice that you want so that you're actually meeting yourself where you are versus just kind of floundering around and not really knowing like where the connection pieces are. And so I think it's so important to connect to a universal theming, just in the way that you would have like a mind meal to like give the mind an attention that feels productive. So it helps disrupt, like if you're in a certain thought loop, you might open the book to a random page and you choose slowing down. And then you think, okay, how am I able to practice with this in the here and the now? And then you can decide how you want to integrate the practice. And the hope is that you are able to listen to the guidance and set the place in a way that feels really fostering of your own nourishment. So whether you have a place in your home or you find a little area at your work or in nature, that you start to really cultivate a setting that allows you for deep presencing. And it's so important. I keep saying it's like the place, the people, and the practice, when that's all simpatico and aligned, you just feel safe. You feel like you belong. You feel connected to love. And it really is everything.
Beautifully, beautifully explained. And it also highlights that holistic wellness is accessible and customizable to each individual's journey. Veronique, yoga often emphasizes precision and alignment. But how do you balance technical guidance with intuitive awareness in your teaching?
I love this question so much because there's so much in the space of very particular alignment, arriving to the shape, like this is correct, this is not correct, like really strong lines. And we have such a modern culture of perfectionism, of wanting to do things well, of, fearful of injuring ourselves or, like looking like we don't know what we're doing. And so oftentimes, people will like want to practice with the mirror so they can see what they're doing. And they might ask for me to show them how the shape looks. And what has really evolved over time, and I'm very grateful that for the most part I teach like this, where I'm seated at my device and I'm verbally guiding through the sequence. I'm not demoing at all. In fact, they could have their device off to the side so that they can look out to nature or a painting that they love, because we're just on our screens so much. It's so nice to, not feel like you have to, like look and make sure that you're doing it well, like you would like a YouTube video or something like this. Maybe if you're first starting out and you want to have a visual, certainly, or, if you're a visual learner, I think that there's a certain aspect to that. However, I think that there's an over sort of like checking, which like is really disempowering. Once you have the facility of really attuning to your own physical body, and you can discern like this feels good, this feels painful, or like this feels like a good stretch, but it's burning a little bit, but it's because I'm creating more space versus it could possibly be injurious, right? So it's refining that discernment for yourself. And I think what I really love to do is I guide really language transitions between shapes, like room to explore within each shape so that it's mobility, it's functional range of motion, and it's breaking up with rigidity. That we have like so many, I'm definitely type A, like I love to do things correct, of course. Like I love a good to-do list. And also I feel most liberated when I can let that go, when I can be in that exploration. And the physical practice is a really beautiful physical embodiment of that. So, for example, say you're in Warrior One, classical shape, right? It's like you could set your feet, raise your arms, like here you are in Warrior One. Beautiful. You could look at classic texts and it's like, this is the correct position of your feet. Well, if you're a woman and you have hips, that heel to heel alignment for most of us does not feel good. And so I really love inviting feet hips width, or maybe even mats width, so that the hips can be even. If you have any kind of shoulder things going on, arms above the head also doesn't feel good, right? So it's like maybe you have your arms down by your side. Maybe you have your hands to prayer at the heart, right? So it's like there isn't a one size fits all. It's not like cookie cutter, like this is the shape and it has to be done exactly like this, or you're not doing the shape. If you have your feet hips width and your hands to prayer, it's still warrior one. It's your expression of warrior one. So that's just an example. And if anyone has any questions, because I've often gotten, maybe someone has had knee surgery, or they have some kind of physical something that makes certain shapes not feel good. And they'll get really discouraged, like, oh, like I can't do this. And there's so many shapes that you can do on your back, on your belly. You could do an entire warrior sequence on your back, where warrior one, you would be on your back. You would bend one leg, so that would be the front leg, and then the back leg you would extend out in front, and then you could have hands to prayer. You could extend the arms over, have the arms out, right? So there's different orientations. So I just really, and I say that because I want everyone to feel empowered, that there's a pathway to the practice that actually meets you where you are versus you trying to meet it.
Amazing. Yeah. Great. I mean, thank you for sharing that, Veronique. It reminds us that structure and intuition together creates a safe, supportive path to grow. So, Veronique, on that note, you lead international retreats and workshops. So, what patterns or insights do you see repeatedly in students who thrive versus those who struggle in their wellness journey?
Mm. Yeah. So, what's so powerful about taking the physical body out of your daily rhythm is depending on if you're married or you have kids or like whatever your home work volunteer dynamic is, when you like let go of all of those attentions and all you need to do is show up just as you are, right? The practice is there for you, and then the food is lovingly prepared for you. You don't have to cook, you don't have to clean, you don't even have to make your bed. Like all of these things are just taken away so that you can just tune into your practice, to connect into community, to connect into nature, to connect to your breath. And whether someone is coming with, a history of mental illness, any kind of physical trauma, or anything like that, there's this really powerful leveling that happens. And it brings me back to what I was saying before of aligning with the place, the people, and the practice. When these things converge, it's signaling to your body that you are safe. And when you really feel that, there's no like tensing up of like needing to protect or needing to achieve anything. And so all of that attention can rest. And then when you're in that space, it's like, okay, like I belong here. And like, oh wow, like I feel like so much love here. And what happens in these places is like you'll meet somebody and there's this really beautiful recognition, like you've seen them before, whether they're from a different culture or different age or, dynamic of some kind. Because when we connect in these places, we're all attracted into wanting to continually be on that path of growth. And so when we're doing that together, it like creates this swirl. I really visualize it like we're like swirling together in this upward elevating cycle. And it's so powerful because you think, oh wow, like this is actually infinitely supportive. And then you start to feel that as it integrates. And this is why many people come to retreats multiple times, is because you're able to get layers deeper and deeper as you integrate those practices at home. where all of those false urgencies, you see them for what they are, and you can just better attune to what actually matters to you.
Your retreats do sound very interesting actually. Now even I want to be a part of it. So
Yes, please come.
yeah. Yeah, so for our listeners who might want to connect with you or be a part of your retreat, how can they do that? Can you share it with our listeners?
Yes, you can go to my website, yogawithveronique.com, and there is information about my book, about the Shine membership. There's a free trial of 7 days there for you, so you can come in to the membership and try out the practices and the integrations to connect in community. And then you can learn about my retreats. And I have different offerings that I share on Instagram, different practices and inspirations. You can follow me at Veronique Ory. And if anything sparked something in this conversation and you want to message me, I would love to hear from you as well.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that, Veronique. And dear listeners, if you feel stuck in life, if you want to be a part of something so great, such as a retreat, then yes, you can go and connect with her. And I'll have all the information in my show listing. So, yes, Veronique Ori reminds us that healing can be joyful, creative, and deeply personal. So take today to move with intention, breathe with awareness, and embrace the lightness that supports your journey. Let your practice on and off the mat illuminate your mind, body, and spirit.